Hello, my name is James Caudell, and this is a Kingdom Hearts 2 style mashup for Milestone 2. With a Milestone 2, I'll be covering a few basic things. I was not able to follow the guidelines that I had set up for my milestones, because I had to fix things, finish others, and I had to scrap some of the items that I wanted to do that was no longer needed. But what was done was the main room was fixed, allowing the floor to be better suited, the room to have a big enough environment for all the pieces to be seen clearly, and have all the polygons actually be suitable for the environment. Next, I worked on the boss panel and I remodeled them to give them better details and better polygons. I also gave the computer a more finished look and gave them extra cables to make it look complex and computer-like. I also created a keyblade, which I'll be using as wall mounts on the level. I also created more pieces to the wall mounts to the walls to make them more complex looking. And then finally, I placed everything into the room so that I can eventually work on the milestone 3, which will be texturing them and adding them to Unity or Unreal, deciding whichever program I decide to go with. Starting with the boss panels. The original boss panels were pretty basic and bland, and in the original picture, they had a lot more detail on them. So I decided to add more detail, and I actually had to restructure the whole thing because all the inner polygons were really messed up, and it would been I more or less just had to start over. So I ended up using some bevels to create the inner structures and used a little bit of extraction to bring out the structures to make it more thicker and alive. Next was a computer. As you can see, it's pretty basic and there's no cord attached to it. So what I did was I added a bunch of cords and different cables of different sizes to make it look more complex and like an actual computer. Next, I worked on a keyblade. This is the keyblade. I kind of used a basic reference image, more or less used a few polygons and some splines to create the images, and then I just made a 3D model because more or less it was actually kind of symmetrical, so it wasn't that hard to actually create what was needed. And then for the Mickey head at the end, I just used three spheres. On the walls, had a few complex pieces, but I wanted to add more to make it a little bit more complex. So I added some extra tubing, and I actually took the actual panel itself, made smaller versions of them, and actually inserted them into the top of the panel to make it look like it's even more complex, more wires going through it. And this is the environment with everything put together. And this is some other angles. Thank you very much. There's my milestone for the breakdown of this week. And thank you very much. See you in class.